Today on the show, I've got the lovely Laura from UK. She's a vegan turned carnivore. If you've gone through her profile, it seemed really interesting to me, so I had to get you onto my podcast. Thank you so much for coming, Laura.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to finally meet you and to have this opportunity to chat with you.
Yeah, likewise, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. So take us through your journey and your story. Where did you live when you were a kid? What was your childhood like, and how you've grown through everything? Take us through that.
Well, originally I'm Lithuanian, and I lived in Lithuania until I was 18. And my dream was always to go to live to Italy. So when I finished school at the age of 18, I moved to Italy, where I lived for 13 years. And in 2015, I moved to the cloudy and definitely not sunny UK. So my journey of being vegan, vegetarian, and now kind of transitioning to carnivore started a long time ago. First of all, I always struggled with depression and eating disorders. So my goal was always to lose weight. And vegan diet kind of started because my uncle got sick and died within 2 years from cancer. And somehow I met some people who were vegans at the time, and I was living in Italy at the time. And I read the book that is called The China Study. But now I understand how wrong that book can be. And unfortunately, a lot of vegans read that book and believe everything is written in that book and is just couldn't be more misleading, right? And it's done on something like 10 people, probably, that study. So I said, okay, I need to lose weight. I need to be healthy. Why healthy people, at the age of 40 die suddenly? And that's how my vegan journey started. And also being in the group of people that were vegetarians and even fruitarians at that time, it influenced me a little bit. For that reason, I guess I went also raw vegan for 8 months, but I really struggled. And then I came back to vegan and then transitioned to vegetarian. I didn't study much about it, and I thought, okay, if I don't eat animals, less animals will die as well. And I love animals. And I believed that if I want to be a spiritual person, I cannot eat animals as well, that I also believe is just a myth that now I understand. So I have been vegan for 5 years, where 8 months I was raw vegan. And then slowly I started introducing cheese and eggs. I always craved for cheese. So, and slowly, then I introduced also fish because I was living in Italy, and it came to the point where I was really craving for seafood and fish. I think my body was just wanting those nutrients and asking for them, basically to nurture my body. That's how I became pescatarian. So in total, I didn't eat meat for 13 years. In 2003, in the beginning of 2023, in the beginning of the year, I started introducing some meat in my diet, and I kind of went keto. A lot of people, they are thinking that I went vegan, and then straight after I went carnivore. It's not. It hasn't been like this. It has been a long journey. So it took that journey, I don't know, more than 14 years in total, because for almost a year I was eating some meat before I became carnivore. Basically, that's how it started.
Right. So you were raw vegan for 8 months, and then you were vegan for 5 years. You had depression and eating disorders before you went vegan, right?
Yes. But I
Right.
would say
So
they definitely went worse, and also my health in general went worse. So I was also more anxious. I would not sleep that well. I was constantly hungry. I was constantly with low energy. I was with brain fog, and I don't have like I suffer from not having much concentration. So for me, being on the vegan vegetarian diet, it was even worse to get concentration. So I would read a page of the book and 10 times, and then I would understand I haven't read it yet. So it was very difficult to study and very difficult to cope with life in general, and especially when I went raw vegan. It's definitely could be a good detox, but for a month, not longer. And I don't believe now that vegan or vegetarian diets they are suitable in general because you lack so many nutrients. And I definitely noticed mostly from my brain how it changed once I changed. And I just wish I would have done it sooner than now, but it's never too late, I guess.
So, what kind of diet were you on before you went into veganism? When you had an eating disorder and you were suffering from depression, what were you eating generally?
So I always try to eat healthy. So I always try to eat cooked foods, whole foods. Of course, I would eat carbs. Of course, I will make some, homemade desserts so they are healthier. In my house, we never really ate a lot of ultra processed food. So it was always, not the junk diet. And then I went vegan and I felt better. It wasn't that the case. So, of course, I would have episodes where I would, go and overeat of a lot of crap because I had eating disorders, but I still try to control that and it wouldn't happen on the daily basis. So
Did you
my diet wasn't that bad before when I went vegan.
Yeah, did you get checked up or diagnosed with for your eating disorder? I mean, like, did you have bulimia or did you have anorexia? Any idea? Did you ever go to a doctor for this?
Yeah. I was diagnosed with that, and I also spent in the clinic for some time years back with it. Of course, bulimia cannot be without kind of anorexia as well. You go from one extreme to another extreme all the time. So, or you overeat, or you undereat, and everything just goes around food. And you, like, I would say, you become possessed. It's like somebody has control of your body and your mind and you just can't do anything. A lot of people they're saying, oh, you just need to have a little bit of willpower. Like, try to say to an alcoholic when you have a glass of wine not to drink this because you need to have a willpower. And especially alcoholic can, stop drinking is possible, but how can you stop eating? You can't. You still need to feed yourself. So it's something that I thought all my life that I will be living with those emotions, even if I was in remission, kind of in remission before I started carnivore diet for a few years. But the thoughts of that food obsession, of that weight obsession, of, always constant noise, it was still there. So it wasn't disappearing, even if physically I was not doing it anymore.
Yeah, and a lot of people I've spoken to, especially women who are vegan and now they're carnivore, have the story about how probably they lost their periods and they didn't have periods for like months on. Did something like that happen to you or
No, it
anybody you know?
never happened to me. Uh, the thing that was probably the worst is lack of energy and lack of sleep. Because it came to the point when I was vegan that I couldn't sleep. And at the time I was thinking, oh, this is amazing. I can sleep 4 or 5 hours a night. But now I understand that because my body was so deprived, and as well I believe because especially when you do raw vegan, it's probably the worst because you eat or fruits or vegetables. You can't eat anything else that is uncooked. And what happens that you, of course, overeat sugars and fructose, and that keeps your insulin level always high. When you overeat on oxalates as well, so your body kind of needs to detox from that as well. And that's why probably I was not sleeping. And then I'm not a doctor, so I don't have a medical background or I'm not a nutritionist. But knowing now what I know and being, always curious and interested and reading and watching podcasts, that's what I believe was happening. My glucose was probably extremely high all the time. My insulin was high. At certain point, I started gaining a lot of weight as well. Even if I was, at one time, I was I don't know, eating barely 1,000 calories a day. And I was cycling 2 hours a day and running 10 kilometers every day. mathematically, you should be losing weight, right? For those people who are saying calories in, calories out, you should be losing weight. I was gaining weight, and my body was all inflamed and all swollen. At the end of the day, I will have such a swollen feet that I like my shoes would seem two sizes too small.
So, and it's okay if you're not a doctor. 99.9% of the doctors won't know what oxalates are, and because we're not trained. I'm also a doctor. I'm a trained physician. I'm a trained emergency medicine specialist, and I had no idea what oxalates were. Till I actually read up about it, and then I met Sally Ken Norton, read a book, and I understood better because in India we eat a lot of oxalate-rich foods. Like from potatoes to spinach to beetroot to a lot of soy, tofu, chocolates, almonds, cashews, walnuts, everything. You name it, and we've had it. And I
And
think
a
I
lot
had
of
some.
rice, I guess.
Sorry.
And a lot of rice as well,
Yeah,
probably.
and a lot of rice, and that's a lot of carbs also. So people have no idea, at least doctors have no idea about what oxalates does, and probably about fructose also. We might have read it in our biochemistry books. We did actually in our first years, and after that it was never clinically correlated. When I went back to my books, I was like, what? I have read all of this, but it was never made mandatory for us to understand that and use it for clinical life, and as root cause, and for treating patients and all of that. We just knew, okay, oh, all right, so this is what we need to know to pass the exams, and after that we didn't even look back at it.
And you
So
know
yeah, I
why?
mean, it's good you're not a doctor.
And I believe that is happening because changing the diet doesn't bring business to the medical companies, right? So if there is no pill to prescribe and you can heal with food alone, how do you make business out of it? You can't.
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to one of my school friends. She's a friend for 30 years, and she worked in the pharma for about 8 or 9 years. And I just did a podcast with her a couple of days back, and she's telling me she's worked for some of the biggest companies, and she said that it was just a profit making business, not a health improvement business. And they knew how to sell drugs. They had to sell drugs. They had to hook on patients, especially the chronic disease patients, for life. So I mean, the strategy was to get the patients hooked onto the medications, and that's what we're taught. I mean, we've been taught medicine to give medicine, and that's about it. So that's sad, but yeah, I can't even blame the doctors, because that's what we've been trained. I mean, we've got a thought disorder also, because we don't want to embrace something that's new, and it's not even new, it's actually old. We don't want to relook into things, and understand that we're not curing anybody. We became doctors to cure people, but we're not actually doing that. Then why did we become doctors? People need to start asking themselves that question before somebody else asks them. So I think that's something that the medical fraternity needs to definitely look into. Moving on, so you spoke about oxalates, Laura. Did you have any oxalate toxicity or symptoms, or did you have oxalate dumping once you stopped being a vegan? Although you did not go carnivore cold turkey, you faced it out. But did you have any symptoms?
So when I started Carnivore, my first 2, 3 weeks were very, very hard. So I was feeling very low in energy. I was feeling very tired. I was feeling most of the days nauseated. I was feeling my eyes were so dry that I couldn't blink. So I think that is one of the symptoms of possible symptoms of the oxalate dumping. What else? I was having such a bad cravings as well. So I felt that I was going through withdrawal symptoms for sure in the first those 2, 3 weeks. And probably now, if I could turn the time back, I would probably do it a little bit slower and not just cold turkey, starting from like 30 hours of fasting and then going carnivore straight after that.
Did you have withdrawals for sugar and carbohydrates?
Yes, yes. So, like I said, I try to eat a healthier diet. So I wouldn't eat sugars every day, or I wouldn't eat carbs every day. And if I do some cakes or something, some sweets at home, I will still try to make them sugar free, gluten free, because I discovered that I was gluten intolerant around like 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago. So I stopped eating gluten at that time. And I knew that so I was preparing for a month to go carnival, because I knew that 27th of June 2023, I'm going carnival. So in that period, like few weeks before that, I went also on holiday. So I said, okay, let me get the last croissant, let me get the last chocolate, let me get, the last biscuit that I haven't ate like already for a year, those foods. So probably that was even worse, because of course I needed to detox myself from sugar as well. But yeah, it was horrible. I was craving anything sweet, like anything that is not meat. I couldn't even look to the meat after 2, 3 days of eating it.
And why 27th of June? What was special on that day? Was it your birthday?
No, it's nothing special really, but how my mind works, I need to know, I need to have a plan, right? So if I need to do something, I have a calendar on my fridge and I write the dates and I do the ticks as well. Next week, it will be 600 days that I'm carnivore. How do I know? Because I'm still writing them every day and I still put that tick every day. And that keeps me motivated and keeps me on track. So I knew that I'm going on holidays, right? So I don't want to start it before my holidays. So I said, okay, I think 27th was Monday. And I said, okay, let me come back from holidays. Let's finish that week. And then Monday, 27, I'm starting. My aim to start Carnivore was actually because my sister is a nutritionist and my brother-in-law, he's a dietitian. And they both were trying to convince me for a while to try Carnivore. And then I discovered I had SIBO, so small intestine bacteria overgrowth. So I arrived to the point that whatever foods I will eat, it doesn't matter healthy, unhealthy, I will be struggling to the point that I will be in cramps, I will be in horrible pain, I will be bloated like, I don't know, 7 months pregnant, and I will have such a bad acid reflux that sometimes I wouldn't be able to sleep even. So finally, my sister managed to convince me, and I said to her, okay, I will try for 30 days, because she said, or you go on the antibiotics for SIBO, but most likely it's not going to work, or you go on the carnivore diet plus those natural supplements that I'm going to give you. You have two options. And I said, okay, I will try. So that's how it started. So, of course, it's good to have a support from your family as well, because it becomes easier, especially when you have somebody who is also working with this type of diets as well,
Yeah, yeah.
promoting us those diets to, to their patients and having success. That's how it started. And I thought, okay, maybe I will lose some weight as well. So I have never been really overweight. I have always been normal. But you can imagine, for somebody who had eating disorders and weight and how do you look, it was always the most important thing. Now it even sounds so stupid to me, but all your life goes around weight and how you look. It's very hard to live in this way. And now finally it's not like that anymore. So after this 30 days of carnivore, I said, after this shift, so the first 2, 3 weeks, I felt horrible and I couldn't wait until those 30 days finish. Then something happened, and overnight, I felt that shift. And suddenly, my energy is high. I don't have brain fog anymore. I am feeling better. My digestion is better. Not that bloated anymore. The cramps are not there anymore. I don't need to drink spoons of apple cider vinegar every time I eat something. So when I started carnivore, I was using some digestive enzymes or apple cider vinegar, because to the point that my digestion was so bad that I couldn't eat anything without having acid reflux. But that kind of probably disappeared within those 3 weeks. And then I stopped using apple cider vinegar and digestion enzymes, and I started feeling well. And I said, okay, let me do 100 days. And after like 60, 70 days, I was feeling for the first time as a human in my life. But I said, no, I need to continue this. And 3, 4 months down the line, one day I wake up and I understand that I'm not planning how to kill myself anymore. That those thoughts are not in my head anymore. That I'm happy to see this day. I'm happy to plan my life. I'm happy to live. And I started smiling again. I started, even people at work, they said, what happened to you? Like, what did you do? Something is different.
It's fantastic, yeah. And there's no looking back from there now, right?
And that is my biggest motivation, because if imagine how hard it is to live thinking about food 24 hours a day, being always like you are starving. You can eat a huge plate of food, but 5 minutes later you are starving, because it's not your stomach that is starving, it is your head that is starving. And thinking how to end this life every single day. And you live only to survive that day till the next one. And the only thing that all those years I have been here is because I have that spiritual side in me. And I knew that if I will do something to myself, I can get stuck in a limbo forever, because I believe in future lives, in that this is just a journey and that our home is not here. And that belief, I guess, saved me to survive. But I would be praying every day that, let's say, a car would kick me on the road, or that I would get sick, or something would happen to me and I would leave this world. And it's very, very hard to live in this way. Because yes, I was going to work, but that was the only thing I was doing, because I still needed to pay my rent. The minute I will come back from work, I would eat and I would binge on Netflix, because I couldn't stay with myself. I couldn't live my life. So I needed to live somebody else's life all the time. And that was the biggest achievement of Carnivore, because all this is gone. Like, I don't remember last time I turned on the TV now, because now I spend my time watching podcasts, reading books, doing something, creating recipes, going for a walk, meditating. And I did some of those, spiritual practices also before, because some people were saying, oh, but okay, now you're doing meditation, you are doing Reiki, you are doing this, you're doing that. That's why it improved. No, I have been doing those things for the last 20 years, but nothing was helping.
Yeah, now you've added the correct diet, so it's a cumulative effect, I guess.
Yeah.
So when you had SIBO, Laura, when exactly was it? What were the symptoms that you had, and how did you come around getting diagnosed with SIBO?
So, the fact that whatever I would eat, I would feel extremely bloated and I would have acid reflux and I would feel very unwell. My sister then said, you need to do a SIBO test, because her suspicion was that you probably have SIBO.
When
So
was
that
this?
so I started Carnivore 27 June 2023. So that was something like probably May or April, so a couple of months before I started Carnivore.
When you were still pescatarian, yeah?
I was kind of keto at that time. So I tried not to eat, so I didn't eat any gluten. I tried to limit carbs and sugars. Well, I wouldn't have much sugar, but I would still eat fruits. I will still eat berries. I would still eat vegetables. And I introduced at that point some meat. So it wasn't that I was eating meat daily, but I would have a few times a week some meat as well. So I was eating more fish, I was eating cheese, I was eating eggs at that time, seafood as well, and some chicken here and there, and some mistakes here and there, but it wasn't daily.
Okay. And so your SIBO test obviously came out positive, right? And then you went carnivore, and
Yeah.
there's
And
no
then I
looking back.
showed the test to my sister, and then she said, you have two options.
Earlier, do you have anything, when we call, what we call hangry, I mean, uh, when we're all carbohydrate and sugar addicted, and it's time to have lunch or dinner, and there's a delay in getting the lunch or dinner, and we used to get cranky when we're not getting food because we were having insulin crashes and sugar crashes probably, and and nobody could annoy us at that time because we'll give it off to them. That used to happen to me. I mean, if I was hungry and I was not getting my food and somebody irritated me, they would get hell from me. But that doesn't happen to me anymore since I turned carnivore. I think April last year, last year, so almost 2 years now. And this was one big difference that I've noted. Even if I'm hungry, I'm mentally stable. It's never, I don't get hunger pangs. I can postpone my lunch or my dinner for an hour or two also. That doesn't happen to me anymore. Did you notice such kind of changes in you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, first of all, I used to be very anxious about everything. So, imagine when you are naturally anxious, so like when you don't get food, you become like anxious and irritated. So it's very easy. You will say something badly to other people sometimes, and then it will be so bad that sometimes you go and you just grab to the store and the first thing that is available. Of course, it will be not that healthy to you. And yes, I was hungry 24 hours a day. Like I said before, it doesn't matter if I had my meal or didn't have my meal, I was constantly hungry. And yes, I was also snacking. I tried to snack on healthy things like nuts or some nut bars or some fruits, but I could eat like a kilo of fruits in one go because it's sweet. So I definitely know that. And time to time, I was doing like a month with no sweets at all. Doesn't matter if it's stevia, not stevia, or natural sweeteners, just to get rid of that sweet taste and that craving. But yes, all my life I had such a bad cravings. I remember when I was a teenager, I would get up 3 a.m. in the morning. I would need to go to the fridge and eat something. Otherwise, I wouldn't sleep till the morning. I needed even to get like a bite of something. And when you have eating disorders as well, you tend to hide that nobody sees you eating as well because you have this belief that, okay, I'm fat and people are seeing me eating and they will think why she's eating if she's fat.
Mhm.
Like it is such a distorted mind. And I believe that only people who have ever suffered from those things can really understand. Because even the therapy, when I was in the clinic, even the therapy that is provided is not, I don't think so it works. Because after a few months I was there and I came out and I was so angry on my dads, on my mom, on the world, like on everything. Because it's kind of taking out the blame from you and putting it on somebody else.
Yeah. So, something that I was really glad about that you mentioned was that your sister, who's a nutritionist, and your brother, who's a dietitian, they actually told you to go carnivore and, try the carnivore diet. It doesn't usually happen across the world where you have nutritionists or dietitians telling you to go carnivore. Who else in your family is a carnivore? I'm guessing both of them are carnivores, or at least animal based. Anyone else in your family that's doing the carnivore, and have you noticed any changes in them?
So they're actually not carnivores. Animal based products, they are very important in their house, but they do eat some low oxalate vegetables. And they do eat a little bit of fruits and a little bit of berries. So they are more kind of following the keto diet.
Yeah.
My mom as well, so and my dad, they're trying to eat less carbs, especially because my mom, she has some arthritis, so she definitely sees, then she eliminates all the gluten. She feels better than, let's say, she goes on holidays and she had that croissant or a piece of bread to treat herself, she will feel worse. But my family is very supportive. So animal food is always are always there. So I know that if I'm going for Christmas or if I'm going for birthdays or if I'm going just for a meal, there will always be something to eat for me. And in my family, for many, many years, we don't use any vegetable oils and we don't really use sugar for many years. So everything will be some sort of alternative sugar. And we don't use gluten as well for quite a bit because everything started from my niece when she was born and she suffers from a very severe eczema. And then my sister was doing a lot of tests and also genetic tests. And of course, everything she has as a gene, most likely I have it as well, even if I haven't tested it.
Hmm.
So we all, and let's say my mom and my dad as well, will have those genes. So as a family, we all started eating healthier and introducing more animal-based foods and eliminating sugars and carbohydrates and especially vegetable oils.
Yeah, and your mom, when she goes down on a carbohydrates, her arthritis pains get better.
Yes. When she does, so we were saying to her it would be good if she would do more animal based. But she is with the opinion that, oh, I still want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy, going dinners out and eating with friends. And I still enjoy that being carnivore. But somebody, my mom is very young and she's very young spirit, but she's still 65. So it's hard sometimes to change a person, especially when she doesn't have such a bad symptoms, I would say. So yes, she has some pain in her wrist here and there, but she is definitely saying when she doesn't eat any gluten specifically, the pain goes away. The minute she eats something, the pain comes back.
Yeah. Does she have rheumatoid arthritis?
Yeah.
What about dairy? Does she take dairy? Has she noticed any difference if she cuts off on dairy because it still has some carbs in it?
She doesn't really eat much dairy. So we all, for example, if we drink coffee, we put some double cream, but you will put like a couple of spoons in that. It's not much. Yes, she would eat like me time to time some cheese, but we don't drink milk, for example. So there's no really milk neither in my house or neither in my mom's house or neither in my sister's house. So it will be not like she would eat some yogurt and she tried to buy them from the organic farm markets to be them healthier.
When she has yogurt, she doesn't have a flare up of the pains.
No, I think what she is always saying that she realizes when she has gluten or she doesn't have gluten, that's when she
Yeah,
notices
the
the
gluten. Yeah.
difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people need to understand that these autoimmune disorders could actually be autoimmunity to the plant toxins and the anti-nutrients, and not just to your own body. It's just, I mean, it probably just goes into overdrive and then starts to attack the body because there's so many antibodies roaming around. And I think even I've got a few patients who've eliminated carbohydrates and plant toxins from the diets, and their flare-ups have actually reduced, and they're doing much better, especially the ones with rheumatoid arthritis. So yeah, I mean, should work. Meats are anti-inflammatory for sure,
Wait
and
to
meat
try.
heals. Yeah, there's no harm in trying. These are vegetarian patients, so they've apparently eaten what they would think is a healthy diet, and are still sick, right? So I just told them, I mean, what's the harm in trying? Just give it a shot, and they did, and they did get better. But some of them have flares. I mean, some of them, when they drink milk, I think it flares up. So I've told them to stop milk and see how it works. And I think it's a learning process that's going to continue for as long as we live. The point remains that one needs to keep learning and not just stop at one point. Maybe relearn everything, whatever we come across. Also, Laura, what about exercise? I mean, do you exercise? And if you do, what's your favorite?
Yeah, I do exercise. I always exercise. So years back, as a hobby, I was a spinning instructor. So I was finishing my work at 5 o'clock in the office, and then I was driving to the gym, and then spending another 3 hours in the gym doing the hard. and sweaty work, right? The most sweaty bunny. So I always loved moving and doing something. Of course, then the worst years of my eating disorders, I was overdoing it a lot. So, like I mentioned before, sometimes I was doing 2 hours of spinning in a day, and I will run the same day 10 kilometers as well. So it came to the point where one day I woke up and I couldn't walk because my knees were so inflamed that I couldn't move. I couldn't bend my legs. So I very often was bringing me to the exhaustion. So I was eating very little. I was eating mostly plant-based foods. So there was no collagen in my diet. There was nothing to build that muscle or to keep those cartilages, healthy and working. And I was way over exercising. And I believe that that is the worst you can do. But I believe also that we all need movement. So we all need to do, like, for example, what I do now most of the days. So I try to work out around 5 times a week, but I do half an hour. I do half an hour of mostly HIIT training or strength training for 40 minutes or 45 minutes, but like it's rarely that I come to 1 hour of exercise. And then I try to integrate it with sauna, with cold plunges as well. And when I can, I always try to walk. So let's say if I can get out like the furthest stop and then walk one stop, I try to do that because I believe movement is very important. And then we move our body, we move, first of all, the energies, we move the cells, we detox it as well. So it's good physically and energetically as well, but it needs to be in a healthy range.
So you're using some biohacks. Any other biohacks that you might be using?
So I start my morning from red light therapy. First of all, before the sunrise or after the sunset, I do my blue light blockers. So I don't wear them now because it's still, early afternoon in UK. It's very important because I know definitely notice that I sleep better with blue light blockers and I'm also less hungry. Especially when let's say at work with lots of screens, lots of stimulation and lots of going on around. I noticed that the moment I started wearing my blue light blockers in the environment where are lots of light and lots of screens, I started being less hungry. Because even on Carnivore, those things would stimulate me and overstimulate me. Another thing that I do, yes, so saunas, cold plunges. So I'm taking cold shower every morning. I think before or after the water company will come and will say, what kind of fraud are you doing? Because I don't use hot water unless I need to wash my hair. But if I need to just to take the shower, I just take it cold instantly. So it's less shock for my body. Because if you go to the hot shower and then you turn it to the cold, it's more cold. So to save the time, I just do it cold from the beginning. And since then, well, it's also the contribution of carnivore diet, but since that time, don't have any, I'm not sick. I'm not suffering from shivering and cold all the time. I I don't need to sleep with 3 blankets. I barely turn on the heating in the house as well because it just feels, warm enough. I don't have cold sores on my lips anymore, where I used to have them every 2 weeks, especially in the winter time. It was horrible. One, let's say on this side will heal, another on this side will come out. What else do I do? I take methylene blue time to time. I think it works great as pre-workout and also because it's a lot of toxicity, a lot of EMF in London. So I believe it kind of protects from radiation as well and just feeds your mitochondria better. I do acupuncture time to time. I go to the osteopath time to time. Do Reiki as well. It's an energy healing, and I think it's also rebalancing your body in a good way. The bulbs that I use at home is also they are the bulbs that don't have blue light, so that I
That's
don't get
nice.
stimulated in the nighttime. So I'm trying to do my best.
I'm sure. I'm sure you are. And what kind of foods are you eating now? What's your favorite in London?
My favorites is also steak, always steak. I was doing actually lion diet for a month now, from 6th of January until I did it, I think, until 8th of February. So, of course, I was eating a lot of red meat. So that would be lamb, beef, a lot of mincemeat. And I would say lion diet, my body felt the best on it. I definitely noticed the difference, but I don't believe that is sustainable for me. And I really missed eggs. I really missed cheese. I really missed seafood. So slowly, I'm introducing them back. So I had first cheese and butter. Yesterday, I had for the first time eggs. And I
Yeah.
would say
I thought,
I'm not too sure if I'm not reacting to eggs because I was not feeling, I can't say that I was feeling bad, but it's definitely not how I feel when I eat a steak.
yeah, I
Sometimes
think,
I
yeah, I
have
mean, I
a
think
body.
it's psychological also because when I have a steak, I feel the best. Maybe because I don't get to eat steaks so often. So whenever I do, I absolutely relish it and gives me a certain boost of energy for sure, 100%. But could be the case with you also. I mean, definitely has all the nutrients. Eggs also, but yeah, you need more number of eggs to get the same amount as probably a piece of steak. So that could be a difference, maybe.
So now my aim kind of to still try to eat mostly red meat and then maybe 20% of that, time to time some cheese, some eggs,
Yeah.
uh, some seafood, some fish. But my favorite foods would be steak or lamb chops as well. And so funny that before I went vegan, so turning back like 15, 16 years back, I couldn't even smell a lamb. It will make me nauseous. Let's say somebody was cooking and I would walk into the room and it was lamb. I couldn't stay in that room. So I couldn't eat it because I couldn't even smell it. And now I love it.
Yeah.
But it needs to be very fatty.
That's quite the turnaround. Laura, so if people want to get in touch with you, you have an Instagram account, right?
Yes. So my Instagram would be vegan10 carnivore. So you can find it there. And on my bio, there is also the link to my YouTube channel. So I'm not that active on YouTube, but I definitely post some recipes and planning to do even more. So if you want some healthy carnivore treats like pancakes or waffles or even a birthday cake, where I turned 40 last December and I made myself an amazing birthday cake that all my family and friends they asked for a second piece. Of course, I gave them some honey to put on top
Yeah.
because it's completely unsweetened, so I could eat it because it's my birthday, right? So
Right.
I need to be able to eat the cake. But you can definitely do things to tweak and have that healthier diet and still enjoy it and don't feel like you are missing on life. So yeah, I do have some recipes on my YouTube as well.
Right, right. And just to finish things off, Laura, do you have like a one line message for the vegans out there who might want or might be thinking of changing over?
So, what I would advise is I know that it's very difficult to convince somebody to go from one to another. And I think we all have our time where we feel that we are just not healthy anymore. And that brings us to look for more and for different solutions. I was always thinking that maybe I'm not doing that vegan diet hardly enough. So I was trying even harder. But now I understand that it's just impossible to be on a vegan diet and be healthy. So all the things that kind of started happening when I was vegan with the carnivore healed. And I healed so many things. It's not just depression and eating disorders. It's also my eczema disappeared that I had since I was a kid. And it was so bad that it was on my head. So every morning I would wake up with my nails full of blood, how I would scratch myself. My itchy body, my itchy skin disappeared. I would scratch myself to bruises. My bleeding gums, joint pain disappeared, migraines, insomnia, and a lot of those things were way worse on the vegan diet. So I believe, like, my aim is not to convince anyone to do this or do that, because we are all different and different things work for different people. I would say if you struggle with your health, just try to look, try to research, try to listen to the people who maybe have been in the same shoes like you have been in the past, and a different diet, a different lifestyle has changed everything. And I don't believe that only the food or only the gym can heal us, because there's so much more. Like, we are a physical body and we are a spiritual body. So even weight loss, it's not just calories in, calories out. Like, it's so much more complex. So I think that you need to feed your body with the proper nutrients. And that's what happened to me. Once I started feeding my body with the proper nutrients, everything else has changed and transformed and became even better. So I became more spiritual. I continually start looking for new practices and new improvements and new understandings and try to learn and improve. So I would advise just to be curious and never stop, looking and being interested and learn. And
Fantastic.
it doesn't have a harm to try, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
But the easiest thing is to start those 30 days. If you did those 30 days and you haven't seen any difference, you can always come back where you was before. But if you do those 30 days and then those 30 days become 100 days and then it completely transform your life, because if somebody would have told 2 years ago that I will be doing what I'm doing now, speaking in front of a camera, speaking with you, or posting my pictures in shorts and sport bra, talking about weight on my Instagram with no makeup and messy hair, like, I would say it's impossible, because I didn't have a confidence to do that. And I'm a very introvert person as well. Carnival lifestyle gave me also the confidence to speak to people, to communicate better, to socialize more. So it has completely transformed my life 360 degrees. And yes, I maybe don't have those visible, very visible, it's like somebody was 300 kilos and now they're 100 kilo, or somebody had extreme rashes on their body and now they don't have. Actually, I had something. I had very bad pigmentation and melasma on my face, and now you can see how clear my face is. So I believe it's carnivore diet and red light therapy.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Laura, for coming on the Desi EM project. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, and I look forward to being in touch with you and having future collaborations.
Thank you. It was a pleasure as well, and lovely to meet you. And keep doing what you're doing, keep inspiring people, because I think more and more people need to be inspired, and more people need to take care of their health.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Laura. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.